See, what they don't know is they're tuning in to DBYT Podcast. My name is Taisha Hines, and this is my show where I'll explore the ins and outs of the world around me. You can tune in every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. On tonight's episode, we will dive into making sacrifices for the sake of others and yourself. I want to thank all my guests that participated on tonight's episode. With that being said, let's get into it. Welcome to 212, where if you can't take the heat, you might want to get out the kitchen. Today, joining us, we have Tiffany and CJ to discuss the different sacrifices that we make in our day-to-day lives. Tiffany is a CIS major and will be completing her degree this upcoming May. CJ is a good friend of mine who enjoys photography, so y'all can get at him for that service. Both are really good friends of mine, so let's give them a warm welcome. Now that we have that established, we can get right into these questions. Have either of you ever made a sacrifice that benefited either yourself or someone else that you cared about?
I think so. I feel like I sacrificed a lot of time and effort and a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have, but I did within the relationship.
Would you sacrifice something in your relationship if it meant that you had to change or adapt to something, like moving to another city or leaving your job?
Well, I was thinking like in this situation, and I've thought about it many times, like if my mother were to get sick or something, like would I have to give up on like any opportunities I was given in order to take care of her or any kind of situation similar to that? Like, I don't know. I've considered that many times and I've told her like kind of scary to think about, like that is something that potentially could be a sacrifice I'd have to make, which I'm willing to make.
Well, it was job related, definitely. Depending on how much the money was, I would definitely make a sacrifice like that. As far as my mom was to get sick or something like that, that's definitely a sacrifice I would make. That I wouldn't think twice about it.
How would you describe a sacrifice like in a relationship?
I would say like a lot of sacrifices that are made are generally emotionally, like for example, if you have to be there for your partner in time, depending on how sensitive or how affected they are by certain situations, you may have to take a pause to like be there for them. So that could be like an emotional sacrifice you'd have for them.
I feel like most likely be making a lot of sacrifices with time, energy, love. It's a lot of things that you sacrifice with love in a relationship.
Okay, bouncing off of that, what wouldn't you sacrifice in your relationship and why?
I wouldn't sacrifice. That's a good question. What wouldn't I sacrifice?
Well, I was going to say, like, it depends on how serious the relationship is. I don't think I would sacrifice an opportunity that's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for somebody I'm dating and like we've only been dating for a couple months or something like that. I don't think I would sacrifice that. But hopefully they would potentially, you know, I guess wait for me in that situation. Like if I were to like go on a trip to Dubai or something or whatever it may be, like something where it's like they want me to be there with them, but I'm saying like I want to go and do something, and hopefully you will have respect that I want to do this and I'm not going to sacrifice this experience just because you want me to be there with you.
Okay, when you say that, do you mean like just traveling or like career-wise or?
Exactly. Maybe I should specify. Yeah, like if it was a career or something like that, that is, I feel like it's going to be more beneficial to my life. You know, maybe this person I don't see as like permanent, or maybe they aren't permanent, or I don't know. It's kind of like one of those situations could be like make it or break it or whatever. But I haven't been in many relationships, so I'm kind of just speaking on my ass. But I mean, nobody's really offered me a position in Dubai, but you know, this is all hypothetical. And also another sacrifice is like the sacrifice of like my self-respect. I wouldn't sacrifice that for somebody, even though if I love them a lot, you know, that's something that I feel like is going to be a constant in my life. I need to respect myself. I need to have boundaries, all those kind of things established, and I'm not sacrificing any of them for somebody.
Yeah, definitely with that. I feel like once you've not been in a relationship for a minute, it's a lot of things that you would not be able to sacrifice in a relationship. Like as far as, like you said, a job, I don't think if I wasn't in a relationship with a person that long, I would not, you know, sacrifice a decision that would better myself. Mm-hmm. And I can't make a life decision that's not committed to me.
So what if it was like a person you were talking to for like 5 years? Would it change or would it kind of be the same?
Talking to or dating?
Okay. What?
Because
you're with them, like that's your boyfriend,
things,
that's your girlfriend. Okay, I mean, some people look at it differently. So I guess however you take it, like y'all serious, y'all exclusive.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I feel like you have to put more thought into it. Not saying that right off the back say, oh, let me make this sacrifice and let me do this, and you know what I'm saying, because I love this person. But at the same time, if it was a person that you was only dating for or talking to for a couple weeks, it would be a different situation.
Okay. Yeah, and also I think when you're in a relationship, you're not only making decisions for, like, in a long-term committed relationship, you're not making decisions only for yourself, you're making it for that other person. You're kind of like living your lives together, so you kind of have to you have to consider them when you're making decisions like that, as opposed to if I wanted, the whole like job decision thing, we've only been dating for a couple of months. I think that's when you have to like sit down and talk with them, like, okay, well, this is something that I want to do, but I want to talk to you about it. Like, what do you think we can do about this situation?
So more so compromising instead of sacrificing.
Compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In those situations, like 5-year situations, I feel like it's more compromising than sacrificing, because like she said, you gotta not only make decisions for yourself, but make decisions for family at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
When considering making a sacrifice, what is your thought process?
If I had to say my thought process, it would be, how would it benefit me? How could it benefit them? What is this sacrifice being made for? What is this I'm sacrificing? What is it that I'm sacrificing? Something around that nature.
Yeah, and basically, like, is the sacrifice worth making? Like, is it worth getting rid of something that may be important to me for this other person? Are they? I mean, and also understanding, like, are they willing to make that same sacrifice for you? And it's not like where it's like, I want everybody to be able to do exactly the same thing I do for them, but it's not everybody can make the same sacrifices, but it's kind of just like the principle of it. Like, does this person even have the same like amount of love or whatever for me that they would make a similar sacrifice? And basically try not to look like a whole clown out here, making sacrifices to somebody who don't really care about you like that. Also, like, looking at the stakes of things, like, because you can make one sacrifice and it can have a chain of effects on your life. So basically just weighing out like the pros and cons.
I understand that. It's not a tit for tat thing, but you want to make sure y'all matching each other's energy. I feel that.
Absolutely.
Are you willing to give up your professional growth or your personal growth to be with somebody that you love?
Oh, absolutely not. You should be growing with the person you're with anyway. And also, like, I think something that I feel like a lot of people can sacrifice are a lot of their bad habits. Because sometimes it's okay to have those bad habits when you're by yourself and nobody else is affected by them. But when your bad habits turn into things that are emotionally or maybe physically affecting your partner, then that could be a problem. And
right.
So, but right now I'm just chilling, so I can keep having these bad habits, but just hold on to them,
How do other people see or think of you when you give up things, in your opinion? Like your mom, for example, like when you make decisions based off your either schooling or your job or your relationship, how do you think other people see you when you start giving up things that you wanted for yourself just to like satisfy someone else?
I mean, sometimes the things they perceive that I want, like my family or whatever, that's kind of their idea of what I want. For example, when I stopped college for a moment to do the Disney college program, they definitely judged me for that, but they were just like, why don't you get your degree? And like, they saw it as something like I'm wasting my time, or like, tying it back to this lesson, sacrificing my time just to do something that seemed arbitrary. But what they didn't understand was like school is very emotionally taxing on like the students. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of like putting a lot of effort into something they could potentially not do well. Sometimes you just have to make these decisions by yourself. You have to kind of like, when you're sacrificing something, you need to just think about like how it'll actually affect you and not how it's going to affect the people around you, because sometimes they don't see the full picture.
Okay.
I feel that.
Why is sacrifice important to you?
I feel like sacrificing is important to me because if you don't sacrifice, then you're not really giving up something to gain something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not sacrificing, then you're not really, I wouldn't say you're not gaining anything, but you're not really putting, how would I even say that?
Like you're not giving yourself an opportunity to see something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not giving it. Yeah, exactly.
I felt that. I feel like I was in your head when you were saying it.
Yeah, exactly. I just couldn't get it out right.
How do you handle people who don't seem to appreciate the sacrifices that you made for them?
I say in my experiences, I feel like you can't really handle something that they don't want to appreciate, because at the end of the day, it's just like, I mean, you can't make somebody appreciate anything. And because when you tell somebody as far as all the sacrifices you made, it's like they use it as throwing it in my face, and they use it as you're trying to say you trying to hold it against them. So it's like, in my experiences, I never really found out how to deal with that.
Yeah, and sometimes people don't understand the sacrifices you make. Like, parents say it all the time. Their kids don't understand the sacrifices they made for them. And it's not that the kids are like not appreciative. They see it as something that already belonged to them, like those sacrifices that made. You can't explain the sacrifices you make to people either. I feel like it's difficult. I feel like you'd have to limit the amount of things you're doing for this person, because sometimes people aren't even asking for you to make all these sacrifices for them or do all these things for them. But, depending on like how much, like maybe you really like this person and you're doing all this stuff for them, and they aren't, they're not asking for it, and they also aren't going to tell you not to because they, so right. I think it's just kind of like understanding your self-worth is I think the ultimate thing, because it's like, well, I feel crappy after I do all these things for this person. They don't appreciate it. So basically just kind of turning that back on yourself and like basically treating yourself right, like treating yourself like you're the person that you're making sacrifices for. And I feel like that will give you more positive self-image, and, kind of realize your self-worth and where you stand in your different like relationships you have.
The motto I've learned to live by, don't expect anything, you won't be hurt. So it's like just not expecting the whole, they might not appreciate this. They might not, justify the fact that, I did this and that for them. Then you won't, you won't be hurt by it. Yeah. It'll just be like, I made the sacrifice. It was a sacrifice that I made for myself. Absolutely. It was okay with me.
What feelings or elements let you know that someone is worth a sacrifice?
I guess it varies. Like, for example, like with the parent with their child, you can't really determine whether or not how much your child loves you or whatever it may be. Babies, I don't know how they experience love or what, if they even do, but like you're going to make those sacrifices for them because of the love you have for them. So if it's like a friendship, maybe it's like that equal admiration for each other and like equal respect for each other. I feel like makes it kind of like fair to make a sacrifice for them. Also, you can sacrifice people who can't give back to you, but it just depends. Yeah.
So do you think people make sacrifices and look for like something in return?
Absolutely. Yeah, people do.
Definitely.
That's the people who rub it in your face. It's like, I did this for you, I did this, and this. And the person just like, whoa, I literally never asked for any of that. Like, it definitely can be like one of those things where they're just like, all right, what you gonna do for me now? And I think like back to what CJ was saying, it was just like, if you're gonna do something, commit to it. Like if you want to give somebody $500, give them that $500, but like don't expect anything in return, because it's literally just like you making that decision, you making that sacrifice, that financial sacrifice in order to like make somebody happy, maybe feed them, maybe give their kids some gifts, like whatever it may be. And if they become rich one day, don't expect for that $500 back, because you gave it to them out of maybe the kindness of your heart or wherever your intentions were. Obviously people do that all the time where they're just like, all right, I gave them $500, why can't they do the same thing for me?
People don't have the same heart as, as you. So you can't expect it back, because if your intention was really pure from the jump, it's like, it is what it is. I did a nice gesture, they don't want to give it back. I'm not looking for it back. I'm not expecting for it to come back. And then I won't be hurt for it not coming back.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone like yourself about making sacrifices?
Read off the same energy as the other person, because with me as a person, I feel like I make a lot of sacrifices that I feel like the other person would make a sacrifice for. And being as that is what it is, to not make as many sacrifices, understand your worth and understand what you can bring to the table, and you don't have to always be that person that's making all the sacrifices.
And I would say like financial sacrifices, they're very sweet, but they can be really, really bad decisions after a while when you look at your bank account and it's reaching low, and you just buy your friend a $50 gift, and it's like, why did I do that? I made them happy for 5 seconds so that I can be broke for an entire week. So that's one of those things that is definitely a lesson well learned many a times. But like, obviously, like it's nice to give people gifts, and like when you can do it. But when you cannot, don't go all crazy just to make somebody happy. Sometimes experiences are the better alternative, which are usually cheaper, depending on what you do.
Don't live beyond your means is what you're saying?
For sure, especially on other people's behalf. Like yeah.
Again, that was CJ and Tiffany and their views on making sacrifices. You can stay tuned for more advice from myself and closing remarks. Well, if you ask me, no one can tell you who will be worth it at the end of the day. You have to look deep within yourself and know that the decisions you make satisfy you. Though you wish that people could be more like you, they can't be. You have to learn and understand the people that you surround yourself with in order to make sound choices when it comes to sacrificing things in your life for other people's benefit. Lastly, I'd like to add that if you feel like you're constantly giving up everything or feel like someone's taking advantage of your kindness, sit them down and have an adult conversation with them and see if y'all can both grow and improve as people in whatever type of relationship you have with them. That's all we have for DPYT today. I want to thank everybody who tuned in this week. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at _Sanah. That's _SENIH. If you have any comments, suggestions, topics, or questions, feel free to hit me up on social media. You can tune in next week where we'll be introducing a new artist on the underground. That's all we have for this week. I'm Taisha, and I promise I won't bite my tongue.